Hello, everyone, and welcome to Proline, the longest-running sports handicapping show in America. I'm John Cranton in Las Vegas, joined by Jeff Sard, who's been running Las Vegas Sports Services for over 15 years. We're going to be taking a look at the Sweet 16 this weekend. 3 games on tap that we'll take a look at. Some teams to wager on, some to go against, as well as, if you like to play totals, some over and under spots. But first, Jeff had a red-hot run in college basketball, 16-3 run if you count all the tournaments. I know you're off a 5-0 Sunday at UCLA, Iowa State, Virginia, and you're looking for more winners this weekend. How can folks get aboard red-hot LVSS?
Yeah, not a bad start to the NCAA tournament. 13-3 in the NCAA tournament, 16-3 college basketball since last Wednesday. Sunday and Monday, I was 8-1. College and NBA combined, all against the spread. So everything's going great at LVSS right now. And now you're going to get 5 weeks of action. It's going to be through the last day of April. Baseball, NBA, college action, all for a grand total of just $19. Call LVSS 1-866-575-8916, 1-866-575-8916.
All right, Mr. Vegas has a blockbuster Friday going on. It's a 5-play countdown. You can get all 5 plays for $15, and one of them is his Wise Guys Game of the Year. That play is available online right now at jimfeist.com for $50. However, you can get all 5, including that game, for $15 from Mr. Vegas by calling 1-866-896-1627. All right, Jeff, our first game is going on Thursday from Memphis. It's quite a showdown. Florida, number 1 seed against UCLA, a red-hot number 4 seed. Haven't seen a lot of line movement with the side. Florida around 4.5. But we have seen it with the total going up from 136.5 to 137. A lot of these games early, we have seen line movement on the total moving up. It's a contrast in styles. UCLA loves to run. Florida loves to slow it down with that choking defense. And, if defense rules the day, Florida's certainly going to have an edge. UCLA is playing great basketball right now, but they are 0-7 against the spread when they face the SEC. Who do you see having an edge?
Well, UCLA's season turned around a few weeks ago. First, they had the suspensions of 2 of the best players, Kyle Anderson and Jordan Adams. Then a week later, they were embarrassed at Washington State. That lost to one of the worst teams in the Pac-12, 73-55. As so often happens when adversity strikes a team, oftentimes after that, a team comes together and they're stronger for their experience. That's what happened to UCLA. Since that Washington State loss, they've won and covered 5 in a row. This year, they have, as opposed to the Ben Howland years, UCLA actually has an offense, and it's a good one too. So this won't be the same kind of offense that got destroyed by Florida back in 06 and back when they lost the championship game in the Final Four. Back then, UCLA just couldn't outscore anybody when they had to. This team is a lot different. So I think UCLA was a fighting chance here. The odds, the Lions about 4.5. All these lines Thursday and Friday are pretty tight. These are the toughest games to handicap. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go in this game yet. I might lay off it. Florida's 18-0 in the SEC. It looks even better now after we have 3 SEC teams in the tournament, and they're still all alive. All season long, the SEC looked pretty weak, but right now they're looking pretty good. Florida's got that experience with Prather, Young, and Wilbekin. Billy Donovan's 19-8 against the spread his last 27 NCAA tournament games. So this should be one of the best games of Thursday and Friday, John.
It certainly is, yeah, a terrific showdown between 2 dominant and red-hot teams. I'm going to take a look at the total. I mean, when UCLA Bruins play in non-conference games, it might surprise people that they're 6-0 under the total with all that offense they have. Yeah, they were dynamite at running up-tempo all season long, but let's not overlook the Bruins' defense. They're 5th in the Pac-12 in field goal shooting defense, allowing just over 43% shooting. And look what they did during recent play. When the Pac-12 tourney, that was a great Oregon offense they faced. They held them to just 63 points in an 82-63 blowout. They held Stanford to 59 points. Won the title game against that great Arizona offense, allowing 71 points. And then the 2 tourney games they played against Tulsa and Stephen Austin, they allowed 59 and 60 points. So this UCLA defense is playing great basketball right now. And, of course, Florida, such a dominant team. When Florida comes off a spread win, they're 25-9 under the total that next game. Florida's margin of victory in the SEC was plus 13. I mean, that was almost 5 points better than the next team. actually was doubled the next team, and that next team may surprise people. It was Tennessee with a +5 ratio. Vols certainly getting hot at the right time. Well, that was not a fluke. That was a very good Tennessee team. And finally, this veteran Florida defense, when they face a good team, a team with a winning percentage of 60% or greater, Florida is 24-9 under the totals. That's the way I'm going to look at this UCLA-Florida game. I think the UCLA defense is better than people give it credit for, and we know how good Florida is. Probably a game to look at under the total on Thursday. Okay, before we get to the Friday games, Jim Feist is going to take a look at some tournament line movement that he's seen this week, and Jim has been sizzling as well. 19-7-1 run, as well as a perfect 6-0 with college basketball games of the year. This tournament play this month anyway. Jim, what do you see out there?
Hello, everybody. This is Jim Feist in Las Vegas. We're coming off a fantastic week of college basketball winners. 12-4 on the weekend. Big plays, 2-1 in my inner circles. I had a run with Dayton over Ohio State, Baylor over Creighton, Virginia, Tennessee. It went on and on and on. It's been absolutely fantastic. I'm on a 25-15 inner circle run. 6-0 run with college basketball game of the years. It's been incredible, and I have more coming up this weekend. Now, let's look at what we got going on this weekend. You know, it's Sweet 16, but the games are going to be extremely tight. At least the lines are extremely tight. There's not one spread that is over 6 points. You got Florida over UCLA, 4.5 points. Stanford, 3 over Dayton. Wisconsin, 2.5 over Baylor. Arizona, 6 over San Diego State. Interesting about that game, San Diego State has already beaten them once this year. Iowa State, even without their player, they win big yesterday. Well, they didn't win big, but they won and did cover. They're 1 over Connecticut. Michigan State is 1 over Virginia. Michigan is 2 over Tennessee, and one of the bigger lines, Louisville, is 5 over Kentucky, even though Kentucky has beaten them once this year. It's a huge weekend coming up. We got the NIT, the CIT, the CBI. We're going to have plays each and every day, and some of those plays are going to be rather large. We're going to have a Sweet 16 game of the year, and we will have a big play in the Elite 8 as well, heading on down the road to the Final Four the following week. So we're pretty excited about what's going on. You can get, I got a special going on this week, Week 16 Game of the Year. It's $100 online, but you get this with a guarantee for just $25 by calling 1-866-841-1655. You can buy it online for $100, or you can call it, get it for $25, and you get a Inner Circle winner as well. Just call 1-866-841-1655. Again, this has been one of the best postseason runs I've ever had. Red hot. I got a beat on these games. I understand the coaching. I understand the teams. We're going to have very competitive games in the Sweet 16. There's not one point spread higher than a 6. And some of them are just 1. So basically they're pick-em games. You just got to win the game for the most part. Of course, some of these games are very close at the end. And what happened? Teams just don't know how to shoot foul shots anymore. That's a key part of the handicapping equation that I look at each and every day.
All right, thanks, Jim. And now we're going to take a look at some Friday action. First of all, Jeff, we have a Kentucky-Louisville game. Here's a game with Louisville, a rivalry game favored by 5. Totals moved up to 138.5. And you got the young kids of Kentucky against the defending champs. These teams are not only area rivals, but they already met earlier this season.
Yeah, Kentucky won that game at 73-66, so it wasn't really a great game to watch. Louisville shot both teams combined for just 9 out of 40 from the three-point line, 23%. So it wasn't pretty, but Kentucky won that game. It looks like the Kentucky freshmen have learned how to win just in the nick of time here. They beat 2 good teams, Kansas State and Wichita State. And Louisville won and covered against St. Louis, but they didn't look too good. They shot about 45% at 18 turnovers. So right now, with these two teams, Kentucky looks to be in the better form right now, although it's very recent for them. So right now I don't have an opinion on it. I might maybe look at it more, but right now it's Louisville minus 5 points. I don't want to. That's a lot of points to lay against Kentucky, which seems to be peaking right now. But as of right now, this game's too close to call, John.
And it should be a fun one on Friday. You know, looking back at that December 28th meeting, Kentucky won at home. They were a slight underdog of +1. The game went under the total of 147, but it barely went under, 73-66. Kentucky shot 43% for the game, Louisville 39%. But look at some of these shooting numbers by both teams, absolutely horrendous. They combined to go from three-point land, 9 of 40 shooting, and even the free throw shooting was just awful. Louisville, 14 of 22. Kentucky, 16 of 30 from the line. So even with all of those misses, it still nearly went under the total. This Kentucky team, the concern here for Louisville will be rebounding. Big, athletic. They're 5th in the nation in rebounding. Haven't always been great, which happens with young teams when stepping up in competition. They did lose to Michigan State 78-74 early on. They played a hot Baylor team earlier on, and they lost 67-62. They lost to then number 18 North Carolina, 82-77. They had a couple of close losses to LSU and Arkansas. The thing that concerns me is that the win they had against Wichita, well, they shot great, but the defense, they allowed 55% shooting to Wichita. The Shockers were 10 of 21 from long range. But that type of defense is not going to cut it in the tourney play like this. So that is a concern for me. And Louisville has that experience that you mentioned. Very good team against the spread. And when they play on neutral courts like this, the Cardinals 22-7 against the spread. So the way I'm going to look at this, however, is with a higher scoring game than people and the odds makers expect. I mentioned that first game, how it probably should have gone over the total, despite all those misses at the line and long range. But also keep in mind, when Louisville plays non-conference games, 15-6 over the total, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than people think. All right, before we get on to our final game on Friday, if you want to get free plays sent to your cell phone every day, if you want to get them from Dave Koken, just text Koken to 313131. If you want to get them from Jim Feist, these are free plays every day right to your cell phone. Just text winner to 313131. All right, Jeff, our last game on Friday, it's a defensive battle here with Michigan State and Virginia. Michigan State 1 point favorite, now up to 1.5. The total has also gone up 126 to 127. Got a pair of powerhouse defensive teams meeting at Madison Square Garden. Michigan State played one game at Madison Square Garden this season. They lost to Georgetown, an NIT team, 64-60. Jeff, I expect a monster defensive game with Tony Bennett and Tom Izzo demanding it on every possession. How do you see it?
Yeah, this should be another great defensive battle. Michigan State's peaking. They're healthy again. Getting Brandon Dawson back from the broken hand was huge. Plus, they had that great backcourt with Harris and Appling. Virginia shot 56% in its win against Memphis. And if the Cavaliers shoot like that, they're going to be almost impossible to beat with that great defense they have. They're tops in the ACC in points allowed, 54.5 points per game. Field goal shooting defense, just 38.7% allowed. So Virginia shoots like that. I don't see any way you can beat them, but of course you can never underestimate Tom Izzo and Michigan State. They're there every year. It's going to be a really tough game. Just like last game, it might be one that I'll lay off. I just don't see an edge here, John. I like it should be a great game, but I think this goes to the wire.
Well, I do see an edge here, and I'm going to back the Spartans because one weakness I see with Michigan, not a big team in the front court, and when I look at a couple of their games, when they play big front courts, well, they lost to Wisconsin. That game was at home. A Big Ten team like this Michigan State team, they lost 48-38 to Wisconsin. They got out-rebounded 40-34, 12-8 on the offensive rebounds. And then they played the Tennessee team, and that was their only blowout loss. Like Tennessee hammered them 87-52. And we all have seen recently how Tennessee has been on this red-hot run with that big front court of theirs. Tennessee had a slight rebounding edge, but what happened is Tennessee shot 50% from the field. That inside game actually opened up the outside game of the Vols. They got some high percentage shots inside, and then they ended up hitting 11 of 18 from long range. This Michigan State team has the capability, the kind of balance on offense to do something similar to that. I love the height up front. Brandon Dawson back that you mentioned. Adrian Payne and the great backcourt with Harrison Appling leading the team in scoring. They are healthy for the first time in a while, and certainly showcased that by rolling through the Big Ten tourney, winning by 16, 8, and 14 points. We know they have a great coach. We know they have experience having been here before. So I'm going to be a little bit of a contrarian to the odds makers. I think Michigan State wins this game by about 9 points. I'll give a final score of 60-51. Okay, let's go with some of the offers that we have going this weekend. Mr. Vegas has a package on Friday. You can get 5 big plays. One of them is his Wise Guys Game of the Year. That's available now at jimfeist.com for $50. However, you can get all 5 plays for $15 at 1-866-896-1627. Jeff, you're on that 16-3 basketball run off that perfect Sunday 5-0. How can folks get aboard LVSS?
Yeah, 16-3 college basketball, 13-3 in the NCAA tournament, 8-1 Sunday and Monday. You get on board. You got to get 5 weeks of action all the way through the end of April. We're talking about college basketball, NBA, and baseball. Just call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. You get all that for just $19. 1-866-575-8916.
All right, and let's run through some of the numbers that Jim Feist has been on of late. The numbers don't lie. 19-7 run in college hoops. His inner circle plays, which are online every day, 25-15. He's off an 8-1 overall Sunday. His tournament games of the year for the month of March, a perfect 6-0. Let's run through them. He had his Big 12 tourney game of the year. That was Oklahoma State, 80-62. He had a Big West game of the year on Northridge. They were a 6-point dog. They won straight up 87-84. He had a rivalry game of the year with San Diego State against UNLV. The Aztecs got the win and the money. His overall game of the year was Louisville when they beat UConn. Last Thursday, he had his underdog game of the year, and that was a winner with Dayton. And then Sunday, he had his third round game of the year with Virginia crushing Memphis. That's perfect 6-0. If you missed that, you want to get on board his next game of the year, which is going this Friday. And you can get that by going to jimfeist.com or calling his offices for the special at 1-866-841-1655. Good luck with the games, everyone, and we'll see you next week with another edition of Pro Life.